it wasn't for the grace of God. So mercy, I'm gonna pick back up where I left off at. Look, the idea is this: I don't really care about if anybody like or dislike or follow what I'm doing or repost or redo this or redo that. What I'm bringing forth is for me, right? I'm just what's in my heart. I'm getting it out there. Um, I'm not looking for a following. I'm not looking for a group of people. I'm not looking for anything, right? It's just thoughts in my head, right? Revelations that God has given me, right? That, you know, if anybody get anything out of me relating this over and getting it out, it's me, right? It's me, right? If somebody else get it, somebody else going to get it. It's all well and good. But look, I, you have nothing to offer me. No one out here on this web search have anything to offer me. So let me make that clear. So let me pick back up where I left off. I think I left off. I was about to go in two words, right? Two words. I was talking about. One is mercy and one is grace. And, we've been in people that've been in services uh, that heard so many whatever theologies and theories and sermons on mercy, mercy and grace, mercy and grace, God's mercy. Keep it real, right? So um, let's start with mercy, right? So mercy is when you're guilty of a crime and you should receive the punishment that is attached to it, but the judge pardons you or give you a second chance without conditions or no parole, no probation, no jail time. So hey, look, I've been in and out of court systems, been in and out of, uh, and pretty much whatever they felt me guilty of, I had to serve what I had to serve on there, right? So no judge, no judge said, you know what, I'm going to look at your charges, and you know what, I'm going to find you guilty. But you know what, I'm just going to let it go. But I'm going to find you guilty, right? It's another thing to say, well, the charges are dismissed, right? There's no charges against you, so you're free to go. Another thing to say, you know what, we're going to put this on your record that you are guilty, but you know what, you're going to be guilty, but all the conditions that go along with your guilt, you don't have to do anything. No probation, no jail time, no restitution, no this, that, and the other, no ankle monitor, no good behavior, right? No one does that. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So to that degree, no one shows you mercy. To that degree, uh, now grace is the unmerited favor of the one showing mercy. So that means that not only right is the judge said, look, you're guilty of this crime. I'm not going to impose any sins on you, but you're guilty, right? But with that, right, with your guilt and me not imposing stuff on it, I'm going to add something to it, right? I'm going to give you something, right? I'm going to not only give you mercy, but I'm going to give you something to assist you without conditions, right? That's going to affect your life for a lifetime, right? So there you go, right? So you got mercy, you got grace. Two different things, right? Two two different ways of of well, I give you one way to understand it through a court system, right? They're not the same. They're not the same. They're 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 both operated without conditions, right? That's the only thing about them, right? They both mercy and grace are given without conditions, but one grace is given without conditions, and then there's a benefit that's attached to it. So, you know, so when God gives me benefits, right? When he in grace, He has forgiven me for, for the madness that I've done in life. I'm cool with that, right? But not only did He do that, but He also the grace He has given me. He has given me the ability to have enlightenment, not only on my current situation or my past situation, um, but it's the enlightenment is ever growing every day. Every day I grow here. I grow here morally. I I see things differently. Um, can I be judgmental? Yeah, I can be judgmental. I ain't perfect, but I'm understanding that um, I play a part in what's going on in the culture and the society around me. We may got you know a, a country right now that's in a situation that's chaotic, right? And you got the left and the right, the Republicans, the Democrats, the whatever. Everybody is pointing fingers, right? Everybody's pointing fingers. But what people don't understand is that it's not the Republicans' fault. It's not the Democrats' fault. It's not. It's all our fault. All of us are part of the situation that we're into now, right? It's everybody's fault. So I don't know where that comes from, but grace and mercy. So um, God's mercy, right? The Father's mercy is extended to all mankind, right? So He's like, it's free, it's out there, right? For whosoever will, let them come. Yeah, right. So it's there, right? You can obtain this thing where you're guilty of all the things that you've done, right, and not be um to be given a second chance without conditions, right? The conditions are when God has given you mercy, the Father has given you mercy. The conditions are no longer based on conditions of the world, right? Because you're still under the conditions of the world according to your guilt because you have screwed up in the conditions of the world according to the flesh. So if you broke the law in your state of county, right? God can't undo that on he can't unconditionally that for you, right? Because that's not the realm that he work in. You screwed up in that realm. You screwed up there, so you accountable for that. So you under those conditions. So you can't be like, God, get me out of this situation. Even though I broke the law, make sure help me. Nah, don't work like that, bro. It don't work like that. You still held accountable for what you've done in that. Now, because what God is a spirit, He's a moral being, right? So the condition that He's releasing you from is the bondage of always holding that guilt in your mind, you know. So you don't have to hold on to it, right, for yourself, right? You don't have to be conditioned into that for yourself. And So he didn't. So with that being said, he also gives you this. He gives you this second part to that. He first of all, he's saying, release your mind to the guilt of what you have done. Right, release your mind, because God is saying, I don't hold you accountable for that. Right, the the natural things of legalism and law hold you accountable for it, but God is saying, I don't. So you don't have to either. You still got to follow their conditions, though. You got to operate in their conditions. You can't get around that. But God is saying that, I'm, once you understand in your mind that you're not under conditions, I'm going to give you something to help you. And it's by grace, and my grace is the illumination of how to work through the mercy that He has given you. Because now that you have the mercy, you got to understand how to operate with the mercy, or operate in the mercy, or understand how to use the mercy as a tool to freedom of conscience, right? Because the bondage is not the physical bondage of what they can do in the flesh, right? But the bondage is all in the soul and the intellect. We hold ourselves captive to we hold ourselves captive to the things that the world see as, how can I say it? As we hold ourselves captive to what the world wants to hold us captive to, according to the flesh body, right? So so they can so right, Christ, right? The Spirit of God, the Son of God, came into a flesh body, right? He was in bondage. And like, man, how can the Son of God be in bondage, man? He's all powerful. We can do this. He was held in bondage because his spirit was caught up, was held in bondage inside the flesh body. The body was limited to what it can do. So the God understands bondage because He allowed His spirit to become bound by that of the flesh, right? That's why when He went to Calvary Cross, right, beat Him down, right? They beat Him down. They beat Him down physically, right? And He could not escape that. So they nailed Him to a cross, right? That was painful, right? So He's held in bondage with that, right? So so He understands bondage. So but He understands pain, and He understands suffering, and he get that, right? And because Jesus told him, Jesus asked God, He said, Father, if there's any way for you to take this cup from me, right? I do not want to go through this, right? And we feel like that every day about stuff, right? Lord, I don't want to go through this. To get out of it, you got to go through it, right? That's what men and women do. They look at the road, they look at the path, and they look at all the consequences, all the things that 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 fear tells us that we can't do, and we second guess ourselves. Oh Lord, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you know what? The only way you can't keep staring down the road, knowing what you know that's on the other side of it, right? You know what's down the road, and you know what's down the road is good, but you don't want to go down the road because you don't want to go through the obstacles to get through what you got to get through to get to where you got to go, because you know it's a better side over there, and you like, right? So you're in bondage. Fear is bondage, right? But to get to, you got to go through. It just it is what it is. So here we are. We have a judge, which is God, and all of us must go before His throne on Judgment Day. Nobody getting past that one, right? But you also got an advocate, right? So you got a judge, that's God, and then you have His Son, that's your lawyer, right? So the Son, your lawyer, and the judge are father and son, and you in court looking at the judge, and you got the judge's son, that's your lawyer that's advocating on your behalf. How can you miss? How can you miss? So you freed up from that, right? So you freed up from a lifetime of crimes against your morality, right? God is trying to free up your moral conscience, right? You, whatever you've done in life according to the flesh, look, he don't deal with that. You got to deal with that, right? Because your flesh body, your carnal mind put you in situations that put you in and got you to where you are. But then you want God to free you up from what your spirit, from what your carnal mind and your carnal and your flesh body has put you in, and you want God to free you up from that. Guess what? It don't work like that. You got to answer for that, right? Them your choices. That's what you did. It's God. People look, God, I need a miracle. I need you. You want a physical miracle. People are looking for a physical miracle instead of accepting the miracle that they have in a clean conscience. Man, if you got a clean conscience, you got it. You got it made. You got it made, right? So we are. We're trying to free our moral selves. We're trying to come into a place of where we okay morally, where God wants us morally, right? And like I was saying, God is not going to. You have people in the world that they're just not bright, right? Satan can't use them because they're not bright. God can't use them because they're not bright. They actually have no purpose. We can't look at society and say, as a society, this group of people have caused this to happen, or that group of people caused that something else to happen, or is this group of people fault, or is that group of people fault, or this classification of this and this classification of that. We We all are part of the failure. Blacks, whites, Latinos, Indians, Greeks, Jews, Italians, Samoans. I don't know how many people out here that live in the United States, different ethnicities, whatever. Bro, it is all of our fault. We looking at a a man who wants to be king, a man who wants to be king, and we have nothing better to do than point fingers on how he got there. When the issue is, we all put him there, right? It's not about a voting system. It's not about who went to the polls and who voted left and who voted right, who voted Democrat, who voted Republican. It's about a conscious, moral mind of a society and a country. He is a representation of all of what most of the country represents in their own hearts. He is he is I hate to say it, he's us. Right? In some way, shape, fashion, or form, in our privacy, in our own homes, that's that's what's up there. Black people, white people, we all corrupt. We all want acceptance, right? We want what everything he does, everything he does. The vanity of our minds want the same thing. We want to be recognized, right? We on these YouTube shows, we on TV, we want awards. There's an award for this, an award for that. We want to be recognized for everything in the world. What he does, he just goes out and get his own awards and give it to himself and say, look what I accomplished, right? What? Come on, man. He's a reflection of the moral hidden consciousness of all of us. So he's all of our problem. And he's in the position that he's in because it's all of our fault. That's big boy talk. I didn't even come here for that, right? But I didn't come here for that. So by the way I live my life, right? All the years, the decisions that I made reflects now into where society is is at, right? I can't go back and say I can't go back on my life and say, well, if I could have done this and if I could have done that. The thing is, I didn't do any of that, right? I can't go back. I can't go back and change that. But I can look back and say where I failed, where I failed my community, where I failed my family, where I failed I failed because I'm 18, 19, 20, 20, whatever, getting high, drinking, drugging, whatever, doing all kinds of crazy mess, and not everybody went that route. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about myself. That's the part I did. So instead of taking the time when I had the time, you know, now that the country has come and society has come to a part where I'm like, man, this is madness. This is crazy going on, right? wasted. I wasted, right? I wasted, or did I? Right? I don't know, but I know that I did nothing in my life to move society into a much better place than where it's at today. What I'm saying is the way that I lived my life back then, and it's not about the drugs, it's not about the alcohol, it's not about hanging out. It's about the moral concepts of how I made decisions, the moral concepts of how I dealt with people, the moral concepts, the moral concepts, the moral concepts, the moral concepts, the decisions morally that I made. The I don't really never hate. I never really hated anybody, so I kind of pardon everybody. Or I never really hated anybody, but I just certain things I didn't harbor in my life. Some people harbor prejudice or hate or weird kind of stuff in their heart, and whatever people harbor. I don't know what you harbor in your heart, but nobody heart is perfect. So get that out. Get that out the window. Get that out the window. If you don't even like the way a person look, not because of skin color, because of a deformity or whatever, you got an issue. So don't go there. What I'm saying is that my moral consciousness and thinking, I'm just as part of the problem, the problem that we have in America, the society today, right? I'm part of that problem. I'm part of where we at today. It didn't matter. It don't matter what I voted, whether I voted red or blue. It didn't matter, or didn't vote. Some people choose not to vote. That's their right. They have the right not to vote, right? But we all responsible, everybody, right? So all I'm saying is I own up to my part, right? So anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Have a great day. I did not mean to go there. So when I do come back, um, if it wasn't for the grace of God, that's what I was trying to get to. I would be reading from Mark 5, 1 through 4, and tell you what, I'm gonna be reading the chapter. Read if anybody interested, right? Just read the whole Mark chapter 5. Just read that whole chapter, right? If anybody interested, I'm gonna keep coming back, regardless of what you know. I got dental issues and stuff like that. Stuff I need to work on. So I'm not really confident in where I'm going. But like I said, this is it's therapy for me, right? It's just getting it out there and my thoughts out there, and as I go, I will grow, um, and I'll get better at trying to deliver what I want to deliver and get stuff across and just be real with it, right? So look, have a good day. Stay blessed. Happy January 2nd, right? Let's get out of that. Happy New Year. Look, it's January 1. Happy January 1. Happy January 2. Right? We don't have to conform to what the world wants us to conform in. A friend of mine always say, who said the American dream was uh, a husband, a wife, a picket fence, 3 kids, and a dog, and a yard? Who cares what's the idea of what the American dream is supposed to look like? They 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 have They're telling us what our dream looks like and what our life should look like and what success should look like, right? It looks like this and it should you only successful if you living like this and you have these certain things in place. You know, we gonna get off that BS, right? Of what they want us to look like. And I'm not talking about a race of people. I'm just talking about what don't let nobody tell you what your American dream looks like. Right. Stop looking at these entertainers. Stop looking at what what the world says, what makes you acceptable, right? Because as you can see, the world and what they say is acceptable is retarded. Right. So with that, have a good day. Thank you.